I know that you have had the chance to comment and to look at transforming schools through systems change. Just a few things that I would want to add for your consideration. First of all, Selena and Gertz, two of the authors, are at Gonzaga University, which is our sister Jesuit university in Spokane, Washington. The Zags, you might remember, made it all the way to the NCAA basketball finals last year. Published by Rowman and Littlefield, which is a very reputable educational publisher, along with books. They also produce four highly ranked journals. And the other thing I want to mention at the outset is how Larry Spears, who writes the foreword to the book, raises Greenleaf's notion of servant leadership. And he describes some of the features of that: listening intently, empathy, healing by overcoming isolation that people feel, especially in school environments, awareness, conceptualization, commitment to the growth of people, and building community. And I think the servant leadership of the various kinds of theories of leadership is certainly one that you should understand, know, as a leader of a Catholic school. Okay. So the conceptual framework, as she says, it's easy to describe systems change, but it's very difficult to actualize, as is often the case with worthwhile things. The book is divided into three sections. One, joining forces, the importance of working toward a common goal, creating a success team by applying the conceptual framework, and then a systematic approach of putting it all together. Now, joining forces, working toward a common goal. The importance of collaborative inquiry, and where this comes from is the fact that, again, it's a public school perspective, right? That so much of school reform and change has been top-down, central office down, mandates from state government, mandates from the feds. And understanding why things aren't working is often determined by people far from the action. And so this movement to collaborative inquiry, where teachers who understand their own craft should not only be engaged in the practice of education, but they need to be deeply engaged in the creation of educational policy. So the description of the school environment, looking at what students need, both the academic press and the importance of that, and realizing social support in a context of relational trust. In order to have those elements be successful, the leader, yourself, right, to drop defenses, to re-engage teachers, that's the collaborative inquiry, to be clear about the work to be done, which is crucial to avoid misunderstandings or dead ends. To have a system of mutual accountability, which means that leadership isn't just top-down, but leadership also is bottom-up. To make oneself as the leader in an accountable fashion, so that when we look at leadership, we have to look at followership and the accountability that you have to others, right? Making sense through action and the ability to understand and articulate that, to align content, instruction, and assessment, and to be product-driven. So here is the success team conceptual framework. As I said, it's atmosphere of relational trust, academic press, and social support. And one of the things that one of my colleagues at Boston College very successfully 20 years ago came to recognize the need that every school, in order to have academic success, needs to account for the non-academic issues that have an enormous impact on the lives of young people. So that social support, academic press come together. So you have to monitor student progress, not only by testing and assessment of academic gains, but also by looking at issues related to motivation, of sense of community, sense of belonging, those types of things. To evaluate evidence, to be able to do that, ways of connecting students to school as a place that is nurturing and engaging, to implement a counseling model that takes into account every child at the elementary and the secondary level. You also need to engage and understand and anticipate the perceptions of various stakeholders in any change initiative within schools. How will this affect parents? How will this affect central office? How will this affect teachers? How will this affect students? In the Catholic world especially, how will this affect the pastor or the local parish? And also, of course, essential in Catholic schools, how will this affect donors and the donor base? How to collaborate, and advocate for students and children. Putting it all together in school-wide systems, that interesting case study of leveled interventions. And this is about kind of taking math courses. Think of not so much, the point is it's not about math, but it's much more about change. And so we replace the particular issue with whatever issue you think would be more salient and important for your own school. To carefully organize the thinking and the work, and always to have parental involvement. What does this mean to you? Well, if you take this book, you need to apply it to a particular situation. All right, this is looking at academic math achievement in a public school. You need to do the transposition to your own reality by looking at the principles of change rather than the content of the change. Commonality of educational goals, which, all of us, Catholic schools are schools, so this academic press and social support, I think, a way of thinking about the goal of schools within the context of relational trust. The book is framed within the context of servant leadership, altogether consistent with Catholic identity. What's the model of servant leadership? Jesus. And the leadership attributes that are required to transform a Catholic school, pre-kindergarten through 6, for example. And how does the process of systems change apply not only to an entire school, but also to a particular division or department? So, for example, if you're head of campus ministry at a university, what can you learn from this exemplar of a process of change that you transpose to your own setting? So I hope these few little comments are helpful. I hope the book was helpful. It seems to be from some of your discussions.